Hi, welcome everybody, wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Richard Delahaye, and I'll be your host. I also have Tamari and Hannah here helping as moderators on the call. In a few moments, I'll be handing things over to Tim Leehealey, co-founder and VP of Strategy, to talk about all things AI and log visibility. But first, I'd like to cover just a couple of housekeeping items. So we've got some great content to share with you today. So if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A function in your Zoom interface, and we'll answer your questions as best we can. Before we're flooded with questions about webinar recording, we will be sending everyone a recording of the webinar when we're done, so don't worry about that. And thirdly, if you would like a personalized one-on-one demo of the Strike48 solution, then head over to strike48.com and hit Get a Demo, or you can use the shortcut below. All right, so now it's my pleasure to hand things over to Tim. Tim, take it away.
Thank you very much. It's nice to meet everybody. I am Tim Leehealey, VP of Corporate Strategy over here at Strike48. And I'm going to be taking you through sort of our vision, kind of how we got here, how we look at our overall longer term strategy, and kind of how we're trying to bring some really compelling capabilities to the market. The one thing I will say, let me jump into my first slide, but the one thing I will say about this is our vision is expansive. And honestly, if I weren't here, if I didn't see the technology, if I didn't get to play with it every day, I wouldn't always believe it. So you really take us up on the offer that you just saw. Hit me up personally, come to the website, book a demo, touch and feel this thing. We can get it in your hands, no trouble at all. We can set you up with an environment. We can let you experience the power of what we have delivered in a way that is really tangible. And that is the only way ultimately to understand how a solution like this will work in your network, will work in your environment, will work to deliver you value. Because we do have people that have embraced this thing and have taken it in directions we could not ever have possibly imagined when we started to get into it. So with that as sort of my intro plug, my intro sort of background and sort of ask, I'm going to get now into the presentation and take you through what the vision is. So when we started down this journey about a year and a half ago at this point, we really basically had a underlying SIM we were building on. And the concept was to build an agentic SOC. That was really where we started. We started sort of firmly in this little category here. And over the last 16 months, we have dramatically broadened our vision and broadened what we were trying to bring to market, not just because sort of we have such expansive foresight, but because our customers have pushed us to think more aggressively about how to solve problems in agentic world versus how we traditionally solve them. So let me kind of explain what that means in the context of this slide. Most organizations, if they look around their IT stack, they're going to find that these bubbles make a lot of sense to them. They've got a SOC almost for sure. They've got a NOC, IT ops, observability, DevOps. These circles overlap to some degree, but all of them, by and large, derive their values from underlying logs. Security logs, operation logs, application logs, any number of different logs. And the reason we have 6 or 7 different tools is not because of the underlying data source, because by and large, it's redundant over a lot of these products. It's because in order to get the SOC value out of it, you needed a whole workflow. You needed an alerting infrastructure, you needed all the SOAR capability, you needed incident response investigative capabilities. So companies that tried to address this problem for you had to spend 3 to 5 years building that workflow and the underlying tooling to make it successful. And the same thing is true in compliance, and the same thing is true in observability. And because each one of these groups is trying to get something different out of the underlying logs, every company that wanted to enter these markets had to spend 3 to 5 years building the unique workflows to extract that value. They were always built to the specific value, though. So even though an observability tool will often claim some sort of compliance or SOX capability, and security tools are often doing the same, they're really form fit to a specific outcome. And if you take a security practitioner and you put them in front of a compliance tool, they're going to tell you, hey, I can't accomplish my job with this product. Yes, it may be pointed at the same logs, but I can't accomplish the underlying task. I need my SIM. I need my familiar SOAR. I need the tools that were built to deliver my value proposition. When we got into when we started go down an agentic path, our first goal was to just be we're going to agenticize this little portion of the world because we come from a Devo back end, a Devo tradition, which was a SIM. And so we were going after this. But about three to 4 months into the pursuit, if you will, it became clear that an agentic world is not limited by the boundaries that existed in the past. An agentic world allows you to basically construct one product, and then based on the knowledge sets and the toolings you give to the agents built on top of that product, to hit all of these value propositions in one. So we sort of started out in here, but we have migrated over to this world in which Strike48 is building what we call Agentic Log Intelligence versus an agentic SOC or an agentic NOC or agentic DevOps. We have customers taking advantage of all of those value propositions. Right now, the market is super excited about agentic SOC, so that is probably where a lot of our attention lies. But we internally get a ton of value out of our agentic NOC and our agentic DevOps. You can really do any number of different things with a platform that is focused on delivering agentic value against your logs. The other reason I point out that this is clearly in my mind, and again, I just completely am drinking my own Kool-Aid, so pour your own grains of salt on it, but I really fundamentally, I get to play with this platform every day, and I see the power, and I see how transformative it is. But the other thing that to me makes this so much more of an intelligent approach is that if you sit and do nothing, companies that sit and do nothing are inevitably, over the next 3 years, going to agenticize each one of these technology silos. And that makes no sense. It makes no sense because agentic technologies, LLM technologies, they're non-deterministic. And they benefit from a network effect the same way the internet, the same way so many things benefit from. If you give them more context, if you allow them to work together in a broader group, they deliver a better end result. So instead of siloing all of your agentic solutions into little pigeonholes, we really recommend and we see the power of delivering a single agentic platform that has access to all of your underlying logs and can deliver up value propositions that span your IT stack. The other thing that is really compelling about this approach is, and I'm spending way too much time on this slide, guys, but is you can handle the storage far more efficiently. You can be delivering a hybrid S3 live active sort of storage dynamic. So you can cost effectively service all these use cases as instead of sort of paying $1 billion to dump all of your logs into a Splunk or something like that, which has always been cost prohibitive. So really, we are advocating aggressively for a single agentic pane across all your logs, benefiting from that network effect and being able to deliver a far more performative and a far less expensive solution. This is how we fundamentally architected. I sort of stole a little bit of my thunder in that last slide, but we have effectively a log intelligence layer. It allows us to both store directly to disk the way a traditional a la SIM might, but it also allows us to plug into other data sources. We can plug into an S3 bucket. We can plug into other SIMs. We can plug into your Splunk environment. We can plug into your observability platforms, into your CrowdStrike architecture. That is because we fundamentally connect through an MCP layer that gives us the ability to not only look at logs we have actually stored, but logs that are stored in other repositories. That makes the system a lot more performative and a lot more cost effective. On top of that, we layer what I've been sort of calling that single pane of glass, that single pane of agentic capability that allows you to build to specific solutions, whether they be an agentic knock, an agentic SOC, agentic compliance, or whatever. We are also, for what it's worth, pursuing a very open architecture. So over time, we will enable a marketplace. And by over time, I mean literally in the next few weeks, we will enable our marketplace where people can share their agents. So if you have been able to solve some random problem we haven't thought of, you can share that with the community. The community can benefit. We are not doing this in isolation. As I said, Strike48 came from a SIM background. We were born out of Devo. Devo is a high-performant log-based platform that is focused on the SIM use case, but it scales at petabyte ingestion rates. So we took that as our core platform, a core platform that has been proven over and over again in the market. And we added on top of it these new agentic capabilities, a RAG, a full MCP backend, agent-to-agent capabilities to deliver ultimately the no-code agent builder I've been talking about that enables you to create those, if you will, agentic clusters that deliver any number of different value propositions. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. Come play with the technology yourself. If it sounds too expansive of a vision here to be real, come believe it. The proof of the pudding is always in the eating. Come let us spin you up an environment and we will get you in the platform and you can test it out. You can say, hey, Tim said A, B, and C. Is that true? This is how we deliver all this value. It is what we call Prospector Studio from Strike48. It is a no-code agent builder. We actually launched this before sort of no-code agent builders actually were a thing. So quite proud of sort of how aggressive we have been in adopting these technologies. And we have a whole sort of progress, a whole sort of evolution we've taken in terms of being able to deliver a solution that matches the fidelity that our IT users need. So our initial outset, our initial attempt at this, we ran into a lot of the problems that are very typical to AI. We ran into hallucinations. We ran into agents that had too broad a context. We ran into any number of different problems. And over the last, again, sort of 16 months, have really refined that, working with our customers, those that adopted early, those that have really said, hey, can we push it in this way? Can we push it in this direction? Can you do this? And we have ultimately arrived at a platform that I think is extremely powerful and really does live up, if you will, to the hype. We have pre-built agentic teams, agentic solutions. You can build your own. You can modify ours. I swear it's very funny every time we deliver this platform to a customer. We take them through a process of, hey, here are our pre-built agents. Maybe you wanted this for agentic SOC, so we deliver you our agentic SOC, and you get rocking on that. And then if we look away for just a week and we come back, it's like there's been an explosion of agents, an explosion of modifications, an explosion of workflows. And I think that speaks to the power of the platform in terms of enabling customers to really customize it to their needs. But it also speaks to the difficulty of the problem. While I will sit here and tell you all day long, we have an agentic SOC, and I think it is mind-blowing, and I've spent my whole life in security, I actually will caution you and say there's probably really no such thing as an agentic SOC. There's no one size fits all. You will want to, everybody will want to customize it, not only to their risk profile, but also to their understanding of the SOC, to what they require out of their security, and to how they want to integrate this technology into their current people and processes, right? Some customers are very forward-leaning and aggressive and want to try to automate as much of the simple work out of their SOC as they can. Others really want to use this as a sort of like an enhancer of existing roles in the SOC to make those people that much more efficient. Kind of whatever works in your org can be facilitated here. It all sits on top of this all-important log intelligence layer. It is absolutely true that you cannot, in fact, deliver a nebulous no-code agent builder and expect super high fidelity results. It will not work. If you are trying to boil the ocean, you're just not going to come up with the level of certainty that you need when trying to attack IT level use cases like the SOC, like the NOC. We ground our solution entirely in logs. That is critically important because we have all sorts of feedback loops going on in the back end. And you can kind of see as it's running through, you'll see there's sort of cycling through commands. You'll see occasionally it will hit every time it interacts with the system, it produces the underlying logs that validate why it decided what it decided. And that is all important in terms of delivering the level of fidelity we feel like we need. And then finally, we have a very aggressive sort of forward engineering motion as part of our delivery because we do recognize that there is not this one size fits all. We can just slam in an agentic SOC and every customer is going to be happy. That is just not true. Conceptually, an agentic SOC, an agentic platform really rewrites the way you guys in the enterprise, in IT can work. And I like to sort of contrast it with traditional sort of SOAR playbooks or automation or software of any kind. It is incredibly powerful what software has done in terms of adding efficiency to all our lives over the last 10, 20 years. Just in my lifetime, it has just been incredible the progress that has been made. However, it is brittle. It requires deterministic workflows, meaning A goes to B goes to C. There's no ability in a traditional sort of heuristic-based approach to any security or any IT problem to deliver a flexible solution. It is always formulaic. The result is, at least in the context of most IT use cases, you're really unable to build the resilience you want. People end up with 100, 200, 300 playbooks in their SOAR platform. And that results in really powerful outcomes for them as an organization, but it also speaks to an underlying problem, which is, listen, there are only so many flavors of risk profiles, so many flavors of attack, so many vectors of weakness. We ought to be able to do it without 500 playbooks. But we all know we've lived in this space long enough. We all to know there's only so much you can do with that deterministic workflow. That fundamentally changes in an agentic world. An agentic world is like a bendy straw versus sort of a traditional straw. It allows you to build sort of one playbook, one solution that then form fits or adjusts or morphs to the context of any number of different attacks, any number of different situations. And that's really what we're finding as we're migrating people into an agentic SOC framework. We're finding that 300 playbooks can condense to 10 sort of agentic workflows or a much more powerful and resilient outcome. I've talked about the use cases of an agentic sort of log intelligence layer pretty extensively already. Here are some of the ones we see our customers quickly adopting. Not all of them we intended when we sort of started down this process. As I told you, we really thought initially just about a SOC and alert triage. Let's get rid of L1, L2 kind of workflows, which I think is a common theme among players in this space. But the expansive direction our customers have taken this in has been frankly really exciting. As someone involved in the platform, in the company, it's been really eye-opening and exhilarating to be part of the process of watching customers explore what the platform can do. We have a number of customers that have leaned into phishing. We ourselves have leaned into the agentic knock, which with really great outcomes. And just sort of across the board here, the different use cases we're seeing, even sort of universal language. It's just amazing. You can type into these solutions in Spanish and they will reply in Spanish. So it really is powerful, the multiple directions you can take this platform in. Agentic SOC was our sort of initial entry into this point, and it is still really the heart and soul of a large portion of our efforts. And you can see we built a relatively large solution. Actually, if you guys do take me up and come and request a demo, I personally, or Jason Michael, one of our phenomenal SEs, will give you a demo of the agentic SOC, and you'll see it is incredibly robust. It has something like 15 agents in different areas of focus: SOC management, alert assessment, investigations. I come from the forensics world, so love what we're able to do here. And then obviously our customers are constantly customizing this thing. But just the alert triage stuff is amazing. We have a 3-agent alert triage. It will do L1, it will do L2, it will do SOC management, sort of a report creation, and it does it all the time, ongoing. You can be out on the golf course and it can send you a Slack, it can send you a Teams message. The only way, again, to believe it is to see it for yourself. So hit us up. If I'm going to summarize kind of what I want people to get out of this, 30 minutes we've spent together, it is fundamentally Strike48 has taken a different approach. We may have started down the same path everybody else did. Fortunately, we started very early and we saw the limitations of the siloed co-pilot solution. We have built everything natively in an AI world. We are taking advantage of all the newest capabilities in order to enable the broad use cases our customers are asking of us. The detection, the automated SOC stuff is, again, really you just have to see it. It has blown me away in 30 years, in 25 years, let me be clear, in security. This is by far the most transformative technology I have ever been involved in. And ultimately, you can build your own. You can build your own agents, you can build your own workflows, you can combine together the power of deterministic workflows and agentic workflows to deliver that flexibility I was talking about, where you don't have to have the 5,000 playbooks. Instead, you can have, hey, we know we want to execute these core actions, make that deterministic, make it, write it in Luna, Perl scripts, whatever, it's all enabled in the platform. And then we're going to reach a point where we want to be cognitive. We want an AI to decide based on our environment, based on our logs, based on what has happened up to date, whether or not we want to go in direction A or direction B. It makes that decision, and then you proceed on in a deterministic way, again, executing those scripts, because you know when you go down path B, you want to do it this way. When you go down path A, you want to do it that way. The platform has the ability to enable you to take advantage of both capabilities. So finally, listen, I've said it a bajillion times. I will say it one last time because I feel it so passionately. The only way to really believe this, the only way to really uh, uh, prove out what I'm saying is for you guys to come request a demo and get us to show it to you. We'll let you get into the platform. We'll let you play with it. And we'll, again, proof of the pudding is in the eating. We'll let you do the eating, and we'll let you just decide for yourself how powerful this platform is or is not, and how well it will or will not fit into your environment. So that is it. Thank you very much for your time. And we have a few minutes for questions.
Absolutely. Tim, thank you so much. And yeah, we have a couple of questions here. So you mentioned MCP servers. So someone is asking, does Strike48 connect via API?
Yeah, so we have we have actually both. It's really a choose your own adventure. MCP is, it's basically an agentic API, but it is more powerful and it enables the platform to do a lot more than you could through a traditional API. API is inherently programmatic. But yeah, ultimately, choose your own adventure. Both are enabled.
Excellent. And then another question here is, can the Strike48 agents follow internal incident handling procedures?
Yeah, so again, and that really talks, that's a great question. That talks to kind of what I was talking about, there being no such thing as an agentic SOC or a one size fits all. The power of this platform is you can provide the agents your own knowledge sets, and the incident response handling procedure you're talking about would be your own knowledge set. So we give you an L1, L2 agent, they're cranking doing their thing, but maybe you want to enable the L2 agent with your incident response playbook. So it will have that knowledge when it's executing against against any given alert that has made it to its level.
All right, excellent. So yeah, we're right up on time here. Tim, thank you for staying to the clock. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this has been a great presentation. I've learned a lot. So thank you again, and thank you to everybody who has attended. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye now.
you. Bye-bye.